Paul. Yes. I was just looking at this nation, a country, right, a body politic, a people united under the same government and laws. Ooh. And then there's a country occupying a certain limited territory of which it has independent control. Yes. Then there's that national bank, a bank authorized to conduct business under the laws of the United States as distinguished from a state bank. Ooh. Now, since you disagree about the enforcement of the equal rights of every citizen of the United States, I'm just going to sit on this lawsuit about not enforcing the laws for every citizen. As I said, there's a lawsuit here. I inform you in 2 million emails that my sons are abducted. Yes, kidnapped. Ooh, exploited. Oh, you say I don't have to remove a court order where the petitioner didn't sign it? Or I didn't get any actual notice of court hearings where you issued it for 10 years? Yes. Where there's a forgery of an oath of office, though not elected? Yes. You said you don't have to enforce forgery laws, fraud laws, or kidnapping laws. I said you did. You're right because you're in law enforcement, and I'm wrong because I'm one of the citizens of the nation that thinks that the laws are enforceable for every citizen of the United States. You said that I might be a citizen, but you don't have to enforce the law. Now, if I took into consideration every citizen of the United States, the actual independent control of every state of the United States, the government known as the United States government, yes, and then every territory, possession, yes, and independent control. What do you want to believe that when I get to suing you, that would be all of those in law enforcement that say we don't have to enforce the laws even though we know of the crime? All of those that are sworn oaths that said we could get elected even though we know that the laws are being violated. And then every attorney, judge, and justice of the United States of America that said, well, I'm a judge in Social Security, you're going to pay back all the disability payments you received, even though you were disabled at the time of receiving them. Now, somehow there seems to be something wrong here. I'm a citizen. Yes, you're holding my sons hostage, and I'm wanting to speak to them. And you don't think that the laws of the United States are applicable to myself, right? To my sons, yes. And then there's the possibility of Maryland. You know, I emailed an email. Yes, there was a Facebook page of my actual biological sister, Susan Bowers, and her image was in a picture, yes, that was printed in a Rotarian newsletter. Oh, you said it's not fraud. Yes, it's not exploitation of adopted daughter from Haiti. I said it was. You said as long as we don't enforce the laws, we won't get sued and we won't go to prison. I said that Mike Van Proynt's going to have to go to prison, and you said no, he doesn't. He's a respected member of the community that he works in. I'm thinking that when I get these laws enforced, the laws of the United States of America, the jury's going to find me right and they're going to find you wrong. Now we're just waiting for those juries, aren't we? When are you going to no longer obstruct my use of the actual judicial system of the United States? Just give me the Supreme Court judges or justices of each and every state of the United States and the judicial branch of the executive government. Now, all of these markets where they employ attorneys to write these contracts with the different individuals that want to trade on their markets, yes, quite often they employ attorneys to read the contracts before the actual corporation sign them. I know it sounds like a waste of money to have an attorney as a stock market or have to have an attorney as one of these trading firms. But quite often the CEOs of the different trading firms that facilitate the trading of securities on the regulated markets of this nation and every nation, they want to be sure about the actual conditions and terms of each and every contract that they sign. Some of those that do a lot of trading, they expect a slight discount on each and every every share traded. Now, I know you're the government of the United States and you don't have to enforce the laws equally for every citizen of the United States, but I would say the contractual obligation is that you do. Now, when I get going through all these contracts that are signed by all the various firms that trade on all the markets of the world, what would happen if you as a stock exchange said, oops, so sorry, we're not going to allow you to trade because you didn't sign the contract? Oh my gosh. Think of all those brokerage accounts that no longer would be able to buy or sell any securities in their individual accounts. It would affect the profitability of any brokerage firm, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it affect the profitability? Now, having been a stockbroker, okay, I realize the importance of being able to facilitate a trade when you want it. Yes, it may. Oh, well, did you want to buy or sell? Yes, I think there are some contractual obligations of all regulated exchanges everywhere in the world to facilitate the trades of those that they have contracts with. You say you have no contractual obligation to enforce my rights as a citizen. There's no contractual obligation to make sure that I get notice of court hearings. The laws are not enforceable in my instance. Yes, and for some dumb reason, I was stupid enough to think that when I informed law enforcement of any crime, you felt no obligation to enforce the laws for me. But I think you should have. Now, I'd like to use the judicial system of the United States today, and I think there's a contractual obligation on the part of the federal government to enable that to happen. Now, as much as the Department of Justice dislikes the thought of me suing all their employees, it's gonna happen. Oh, and the FBI didn't want to do anything about civil rights. There they go again. Now, when you start thinking about actual lawsuits for the obstruction of my use of the judicial system of the United States, it could be one of those larger lawsuits that we don't like to talk about that I'm just gonna sit on for the next